this is the design for the button. This is the design for the button I'm using. Okay, and this is the phone auth activity which we have got from here. Okay, you can just go through it, and it is very easy to understand what's going on here, but I'll be telling you guys. We are getting some errors here. Oh, okay, I think these all errors are for the database. We have not added a dependency yet for the Firebase database. Just sync it now, and these all errors should be gone. Yes, you can see it. And I have made some modification to this file according to my layout file here. Like you have to make changes according to the IDs you are mentioning, you are assigning to these buttons and these UI elements. You have to make changes with these things. Okay, so you can handle all this stuff, or you can just get the file I'm providing you. The modified file of this phone auth activity. Okay, so let me show you something. This is the method which is used for the phone number authentication. Okay, so this is the method which is used for the phone number authentication. If you are doing it for some country specific, you can add the country code here, or you can just provide a drop down menu here. You can provide a drop down menu here for the countries, and once the user select their country, the code should be assigned to it already automatically. Okay, but I am here providing my country code. You can do this way also. So I have added my country code here and concatenated with the phone number user is providing on this text box, edit box. Okay, and this is the resend verification method for if the OTP is not received by the user can resend. User can tap on resend button. Okay, so the resend button is not showing here. Actually its visibility is gone, set to gone, but it will be visible after this, after user taps on this next button. You will see it on the actual app. I will show you. Okay, so some more modification I have done here is with this method. Okay, this is basically checks if the user exists in the database or not. So I am doing it with if the user exists. Okay, so let me tell you, if the user already exists, so what we are doing is we can just send the user to the main activity. Okay, if the user exists, we can just send the user to the main activity, and if the user doesn't exist, we can make them sign in or sign up. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are saving the user ID, this user ID, you can get this user ID. Okay, so whenever you want to get this user ID, I'll tell you how can you get it. And what we are doing here is we are saving the user ID in a shared preference variable. Okay, so we are saving it, this user ID in this shared preference variable. So what we'll be doing next is we will check in the main activity if the user already exists, means if we will check if the user has already signed in. It means that the shared preference variable should have a value assigned to it. Okay, and if the user is not signed in, the shared preference value would be null or empty. So in this way we can check if the user is signed in or not, and if the user reopens the application, we can either redirect them to the home screen or prompt them to sign in again if the user has signed out. So in this way, using shared preference, we can solve this problem. And let me tell you about how can you sign out the user from the application. This is the method which is used for the signing out of the application, mauth.signout method. You can use it anywhere in the application and you can just sign out from there. Okay, okay, let me show you the next step. Okay, the next step would be to modify this main activity layout. Actually, let me change it to relative layout because I love relative layouts. Okay, personal preference, and we can just remove this from here. And what we would be doing, we would be adding a button here. Okay, we would be adding a button here, and that button can be used for sign out. Okay, so let's just add a button. Okay, so we have added a button here which looks like this. Pretty good. Okay, so we have added a button for the sign out, and now we will, with the ID sign out and on click sign out button, and now we will use it here for this sign out. Okay, let's just add it, public void sign out button view. It's what was the, yeah, this was the ID of our button. Okay, so if a user clicks on this button, okay, if the user clicks on this button, this method will run, and what it should do, it should build a dialog box. Okay, so what it should do, it should show a dialog box to the user if he really wants to log out or not. So if pressed yes, what it should do, it should clear all the shared preference values okay, so that when a user reopens the application, he should be prompted to sign in again. Okay, if we do not clear the shared preference variable values, the user will be signed in even after the signing out. So we need to do this, and we need to use this method mauth.signout. okay, so but we have not created the instance of the Firebase authentication, so we need to do it first here. Okay, so what we can do is we can create a method here, start authentication, okay, and we can okay, so this is our method, start authentication, in which okay, so after adding the start authentication method, what start authentication method will do is it will check at the start on create. It will as soon as this activity is started, this method will run and check if the user has signed in already or not. Okay, so if temporary is a variable, we are assigning the value of this shared preference variable to this variable. Okay, so using the getString method, we can get the value of any shared preference variable, and here what we are doing is we are getting this variable, the value of this variable, and saving it to name temporary variable. And if the temporary is not equals null and it is not empty, okay, it means the user is already signed in, because we have already added the user ID value into this shared preference variable when the user signed in first time or sign up first time. Okay, so if the user has already signed up, we don't need to, if the user has already signed up or signed in, we don't need them to do it again. That's why we are saving it in the shared preference. Okay, so if the shared preference variable has some value, okay, if it has some value, it should do nothing. It should just let this activity be shown to the user, and if it is not empty, okay, so what we have to do is we have to make user login or sign in again. So what we are doing here is we are throwing the user to the PhoneAuth activity again. Okay, so let me tell you, if some user taps on this sign out button, okay, so what it is doing, it is removing the shared preference variable. Okay, it is removing the shared preference variable and throwing the user to the PhoneAuth activity. Okay, and when the user opens the application again, in our manifest, the launcher activity is our main activity though. So the main activity would be launched when the user launched the application. Okay, we have forgot to add the phone activity here. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so yes, this is our launcher activity. Okay, so main activity will be launched first, then main activity should check if the user has already signed in or not. If user has signed out, then what it should do, it should throw the user to the PhoneAuth activity. This is what it is doing in this start authentication method. You can see it here clearly. Okay, so main activity is ready here, and this is the main layout. This is very simple, you can get it. Everything looks good here. Okay, let's run our application now. And let's check if the application runs or not. Most of the time, the first time is not always good. Most of the time my applications don't run at the first try, but let's see what happens. Okay, so let me run it and see if this works. Okay, the build has failed. Please fix the version conflict, otherwise the updating the. Okay, so we are having some version conflict here. Yes, so let's just change it to the same version as these are. Most of the time if you get some error in the Gradle file, make sure you are having all the versions same, otherwise you'll get errors. Yeah, so our Gradle file is now synced, and let's try it again. Okay, so now it is installing the application. It was pretty long, and yeah, you can see it now. Let me show you. So this is our application running. Okay. So we have entered the phone number and tap on next. You can see the code sent toast here, and the verification success. The OTP has been automatically verified, and your phone authentication is perfectly working here. You can sign out from here. You are getting the dialog box. Do you really want to log out? Yes. And we are on the authentication screen again, working pretty fine, I think. Let's try it again. Okay, and verification success. Let's close our application and launch it again. And now you are thrown to the main activity. You are not prompted to log in again, and that's what I was talking about. Okay, let me tell you again what it is actually doing. It is actually our launcher activity is the main activity, which is this activity here. Okay, and what it is doing is it is checking if the user has already signed in, then show this activity, or if the user has signed out, show the phone authentication activity. Okay, and how this functionality is working is based on the shared preference. We are saving the user ID in a shared preference variable and checking if the shared preference variable has the value or not. If shared preference has the value, show this activity to the user, and if the shared preference value is empty or null, which will be done if we click on this button, tap on this button, sign out button. Okay, so this is how it is working here. You can see it clearly. We are checking for the authentication, start authentication here, and this start authentication is working if the temporary variable, which is actually a shared preference variable's value. So if the temporary is not null, okay, or and it's not empty, okay, if it is not null and empty, then what it should do? It should do nothing. It should show the activity to the user. And if somehow user is signed out, or the value is not available, or if the user is opening the application for the first time, what it should do? It should redirect user to the phone authentication activity, okay, PhoneAuth activity class. And this is the sign out button. Okay, so I think the app is working pretty fine, and if you like this video, please hit like, don't forget to subscribe, and please keep sharing, and do let me know in comments if you liked video or not. I'll be adding more videos like this in future, or my new social network is coming soon. I'll be providing the full source code and the tutorial also. If you want, please let me know in the comments. Okay, and I'll see you in the next video.